Somewhere beneath these waves lies one of the most ambitious heists in human history. Not a bank, not a vault, a nuclear submarine. 3 miles below the surface of the Pacific Ocean. And in the middle of the Cold War, the United States decided to steal it. It is March 8, 1968. The Cold War is at its height. A war fought not in the open fields, but in the shadows, in embassies, and most of all, beneath the ocean. But this story isn't really about the Cold War. It's about what one country decided to do when they found the other side's most classified military asset sitting completely unguarded 3 miles below the surface of the Pacific. What did they do? They decided to steal it. So they built a ship unlike anything the world have ever seen. They invented technology that didn't exist. They spent 800 million trying. And then they sailed directly above the wreck while Soviet ships watched from less than a football field away. Here's how the United States found one of its greatest adversaries' most classified military asset lying completely unguarded on the bottom of the Pacific. The K-129 is a Soviet Golf II class ballistic missile submarine, a diesel-electric vessel carrying 3 R-13 nuclear missiles, each armed with 1 megatron warhead. Her crew, 98 men, officers, engineers, sailors, men with families, men with names. She departs the naval base at Petropavlovsk on Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula in late February 1968, headed for her peacetime patrol station in the Pacific. The reports she sends at the start of the journey are calm, routine, nothing to worry about. And then on March 8, she goes completely silent. An explosion rips a 3-meter hole in the submarine's midsection. In an instant, the K-129 plunges, taking her crew, her missile, and every secret she carries straight to the bottom of the Pacific. No SOS signal, no final transmission, just silence. Moscow knows immediately that something is wrong. K-129 has missed her check-in. The Soviet Pacific Fleet launches a massive search, aircraft, warships, submarines, scouring the North Pacific for 2 months. They find nothing. The official search is called off in April 1968. The families of 98 men are paid compensation and told almost nothing. The Soviet Navy classifies the disaster. Officially, K-129 does not exist anymore. But someone knows where K-129 is. That someone is the United States of America. The United States of America has a secret weapon. It's called SOSUS, a vast network of underwater hydrophones strung across the ocean floor, designed to track Soviet submarines. On March 8, 4 separate AFDAC listening stations each produced the same anomaly, 2 seismic-like acoustic shockwaves, 9 minutes apart. They triangulate the location within the 5 nautical miles. The USS Halibut, a nuclear submarine converted into a covert spy platform, is dispatched into the depths. Using remotely controlled cameras mounted on the underwater sleds, she finds K-129 after 3 weeks of searching. 3 miles down, lying on her side, shattered, but still intact enough. The CIA photographs are stunning and devastating. They show an intelligence prize like anything the Cold War has ever offered. Nuclear warheads, cryptographic codebooks, missile guidance systems, the entire architecture of Soviet naval warfare, lying unguarded on the floor of the Pacific Ocean. The question is it even possible to get it? The CIA's proposal is audacious to the point of absurdity. Raise a 1,750-ton submarine from 16,500 feet below the surface of the Pacific in absolute secrecy with technology that does not exist yet, on a budget that will eventually reach 800 million and more. That is 4 billion in today's money. The 40 Committee, the senior oversight body that includes the White House, the State Department, and the intelligence community, debates whether this is even possible, whether it is worth it, whether they're insane. The engineering challenges alone might be unsolvable, but the President Nixon says, "Go for it." And the operation is given a code name, Project Azorian. Now they need a cover story because a 690-foot custom-built salvage ship appearing over a Soviet submarine wreck in the middle of the Pacific would attract exactly the kind of attention they cannot afford. Enter Howard Hughes, the world's most famous recluse. A man so eccentric, so private, so legendarily strange that nobody questions what he does and what he chooses to do with his money. He's building a deep-sea manganese nodule mining ship. Sure, sounds like Howard. The CIA approaches him, and he agrees. His corporate empire, the Soma Corporation, becomes the face of the operation. The ship will be called Hughes Glomar Explorer, and it will be built to do exactly one thing, exactly once, and never again. The engineers at the Global Marine designed the Glomar Explorer on pen and pencil, no computers. And what they produce is without a question the most complex covert engineering project in American history. At the heart of the ship, a moon pool, a massive opening in the hull, 199 feet long and 42 feet wide, through which the entire operation will be conducted. The pipe string, essentially a 3-mile-long metal spine, assembled section by section, will be lowered through this opening, carrying the capture vehicle down to the ocean floor and back. The capture vehicle they call Clemente, named after the miner's daughter in the old folk songs. She is 180 feet long, 58 feet wide. Her 8 steel claws are built from 2-inch miraging steel plate, assembled into an I-beam and 3 feet deep. The entire device weighs as much as a World War II destroyer. Every element of this machine has to perform perfectly at a depth where no machine has ever operated before. Under 1,500 atmospheres of pressure, in near freezing water, in total darkness, with no way to send anyone down to fix anything that breaks. And all of it has to be hidden from Soviet satellites. Clemente is so large that she can only be loaded onto the Glomar Explorer using a special submergible barrage, which sinks beneath the surface of the Catalina Island, so the ship can float above it and lift Clemente up through the moon pool, invisible from above. 6 years of construction, 800 million spent. By the CIA's own reckoning, comparable to the moon landing. Except nobody would ever know it happened. June 21st, 1974. The Hughes Glomar Explorer departs Long Beach, California. She carries 178 men, President Nixon has instructed that no operation began until he returns from his Moscow summit meeting. The President of the United States is shaking hands with the Soviet Premier Brezhnev, discussing detente cooperation a thaw in the Cold War, while simultaneously the CIA is sailing a custom-built spy ship towards the wreck of a Soviet nuclear submarine. Nixon flies home. 4 days later, on July 4, 1974, the Glomar Explorer arrives directly above the wreck. On July 21st, they began lowering Clemente through the moon pool. The log records it as undocked. Very smooth. A masterpiece of understatement. The next 2 days are a study in controlled anxiety. The pipe string descends, section by section, each 30-foot piece screwed into the next. The crew works in 12-hour shifts. The screen on the control room shows nothing but the black water getting darker. Then, July 22, a Soviet naval tug appears on the horizon. She closes to 75 yards, circles, watches for 13 and a half days. Soviet ships maintain near continuous surveillance of the Glomar Explorer. They're looking for something wrong, something that doesn't fit the story. They don't find it. The crew acts with extraordinary discipline, because one wrong glance, one nervous reaction, one moment of breaking character could end everything. They mine, they drill, and they pretend. Every hour, every day, with Soviet officers watching through binoculars from 75 yards away. While 3 miles below them, the most expensive intelligence operation in American history is underway. Clemente reaches the bottom. The cameras find the K-129. Slowly and agonizingly, the 8 steel claws position themselves beneath the hull. The engineers close them. They have her. The lift takes days. Inch by inch, foot by foot, the pipe string is disassembled from below as K-129 rises, one section locked away at a time. The weight is enormous. The tension on every cable and joint is unimaginable. But it's working. Then a third way up. Several hooks on Clemente fracture simultaneously. The sound later described by the crew members is like a building settling. The moment you know something can be undone. 2/3 of the K-129 tears free. The missile compartment, the code room, the 3 ballistic missiles, the cryptographic equipment, everything the CIA flew 800 million and 6 years trying to reach. Maybe it's the final desperate act of freedom from K-129 trying to flee from the enemy hands. The engineers watch it go on their screens, helpless. $1 billion and a decade of ambition, sinking back into the dark. Sherman Wetmore, one of the lead engineers on the project, would say almost 50 years later, "Why the claw broke has continued to haunt me." But the 38 feet of the K-129's bow is still in the Clemente's grip. The operation continues. You work with what you have. You always work with what you have. Inside the recovered section, 2 nuclear torpedoes, cryptographic equipments, technical documents, and the bodies of 6 Soviet sailors. After 6 years on the bottom of the Pacific, the CIA faces a question no operation manuals cover. What do you do with the bodies of the enemy? On August 4, 1974, the crew of the Hughes Glomar Explorer conducts a formal military burial at sea. Full military honor, prayers spoken in both English and Russian. Both nations' anthems played. These men died serving their country, the same way soldiers on any side always die. And in this one strange, quiet moment, 1,000 miles from anywhere, watched by no one, the Cold War paused long enough for someone to say goodbye. The ceremony is filmed. In 1992, CIA Director Robert Gates travels to Moscow and gives the footage personally to Russian President Boris Yeltsin. Yeltsin watches 6 Soviet sailors being honored with full military ceremony by the Americans who had just stolen their submarine. According to those who were in the room, he wept. Even in the Cold War, some things were beyond the game. The CIA already planned a second mission, Project Matador, to go back for the rest of the K-129. Then just after midnight on June 5th, 1974, thieves break into the Los Angeles office of Howard Hughes Glomar Corporation. They steal $60,000 and several hundred pages of documents. Among them, a memo linking Hughes directly to the CIA, directly to a covert submarine recovery operation, directly to everything. The CIA tries to contain it, briefs investigators, briefs journalists under embargo. Every briefing is another person who knows. Every person who knows is another potential leak. February 1975, the Los Angeles Times publishes the first story, vague, partly wrong, but enough. March 18, 1975, one of the most feared investigative journalists in America broadcasts the full story on national radio and television. CIA Director William Colby has personally begged him not to. Anderson broadcasts anyway. He's been told by naval experts that the sub contained nothing of value after 6 years of underwater. He doesn't believe the CIA's version of events. He goes on air. In every press conference that follows, the CIA issues the same response to every question. We can neither confirm nor deny. The Glomar response, born right there, used by the intelligence agency and the government ever since. Whenever a secret is too big to admit and too obvious to deny. Any hope of a second mission dies. The Soviets now know, the world now knows. The rest of the K-129, the missile, the code room, the secret that started all of this remain on the ocean floor to this day. Was the Project Azorian a success? The CIA says yes. The engineers say they did the impossible. 2 nuclear torpedoes, Soviet submarine design, the largest covert deep-sea operation in human history. Jack Anderson said the sub's secret were already dead after 6 years on the ocean floor, that 800 million had been spent for nothing. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the dark between them. What is undeniable is this: 6 years in the making, built by men with pen and pencil, hidden behind the name of a billionaire madman, watched day and night by the enemy, partially exposed by a random robbery, ended by a radio broadcast, and still, somehow, they pulled a piece of Soviet Navy up from 3 miles below the surface of the Earth. The K-129 still lies down there, 3 miles down, the same depth it fell to on March 8, 1968. 98 men went to that darkness and never came back. 6 of them, at least, got a proper goodbye.